this is, you're talking about harnesses, or discussion about harnesses. This is a arc flash harness. So it sounds like you're very familiar with harnesses already, right? So this is not much different with the exception of, guess what, it's for arc flash. Are you using arc flash harnesses right now? All right, so I'm not going to go into all the details of it other than just to let you know this is rated for arc flash. That's what Angel and I talked about. There are different models to pick from. This particular one is a vest style. There are construction styles if you needed to carry a lot of tools or anything like that, but just for the purposes of getting in and out, we decided to go with something that was very low profile, right? Especially you got small holes, so I'm not sure exactly what you're using today, if you're using construction style or anything like that, but this would be a typical confined space entry harness, again, using arc flash. Okay?
As far as the arc flash was rating,
yeah, so I think it's a Cal 40 CM2 is the actual rating. Cal 40 CM2. Again, just some of the features on it are this leather strapping here is designed to protect you from the body not touching any metal on the body. So you're going to see different points wherever there's that. You should see some type of connection point that's covering it right there. So again, the other part of it is the material is Nomex with Kevlar as the core. So you've got Nomex on the outside, you've got Kevlar core. The stitching that you see on here is also Kevlar. It is designed to, it does pass the testing for arc flash when it comes to, the testing for, I think it's like a 5-second test where it will burn up to 5 seconds, so it meets that. In other words, it won't burn longer than 5 seconds if it were to catch fire. And it is also designed that after the burn, if again, that were to happen in there, this can still get you out. It's not like it's burned and then now it becomes unusable. You still have to get that person out in that particular case. So this does have the rating to be able to still pull somebody out with the full harness even after it's been flashed on and then fire. Okay. So again, just like any other harness, if I were sitting here, today was the day I was going to go in here, what's the first thing I'm going to do, right? I'm going to inspect. Okay. So just like you said, if it's dirty, if it's something that's too greasy as a concern, I'm looking at the straps. I'm checking the straps to see if there's any fraying, any cutting. Again, a heavy soiled one could be an issue like you mentioned. I first look through all the straps, okay? I come down here, I'm looking at the straps. I would be inspecting both sides, up and down, in and out. All I'm looking for is there something here that I can have a concern about? The next thing I go on to after the straps is I look at the metals, anything that's metal. Clearly everything here is coated, so again, we're having that protection from arc flash, so it's not just metal. These are aluminum. This is a spring-mounted D-ring, so it doesn't hang down, so it's a nice little feature that it's just kind of easy up there. But the other thing is I'm looking at all of the metals. Is it functioning properly? I come down here. These are torso adjusters. Are they able to freely move? Can I open it up and close it like I would need to make my adjustments? I come here and I want to check the buckles, making sure that there's a buckle or locking and it's opening up. So I would do that at all my locations just to make sure, again, if I find anything out of place, something not working right, I'm asking either a partner to help me understand, is that working right, is that okay, or is it just me? On this Monday morning, let's say I'm working, but that's what I'm going to do is inspect. Okay? This particular model is a large, by the way. That's one thing I forgot to mention. You should also inspect the labeling. If the labeling is frayed or you can't read the labeling, that kind of decommissions it, because again, that would be an OSHA requirement. Sizing is important. The Angel and I talked about that. I'm glad to hear that. You might be getting a few more, not just because you want to spend more money with me, but the main reason is not one size fits everybody. So already I'm looking around here. We got different heights, we got different weights, and so this is a large. Honestly, this one fits me just a little bit too big. It still fits me. I can still wear it. I'm comfortable. I would be okay going in prefer a medium because I'm having to really pull in some of the slack. So again, large, medium, and small, you'll have to kind of work through that as you guys but
You said it was coated, the metal is coated to help. That's to help with the arc flash.
well, just there's no sparking or anything like that, metal on metal, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But, yeah.
How strong is that coating?
So eventually it will wear out. So I can't speak how strong it is, but it's just like everything else. I would be inspecting, and if I start to see some chipping or anything like that, I'm seeing exposed metal, then you're kind of saying, okay, now I'm compromising the arc flash requirements on that. Again, part of the inspection. It's a good question. So I'm going to go ahead and just don this one. Again, not sure if you've seen this particular style. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. A lot of times you don't. The tongue buckles are used a lot, right? So this particular model. So I've already made my adjustments yesterday when I pre-tested this, so it should fit for me okay. These are quick connects. These are lock and unlock. Actually, let me show you that real quick. So right now, you couldn't tell, but you'd have to look at it up closer. But this is a locking mechanism. It locks the webbing in place. Okay? So if I want to adjust it, I should unlock it. I can now move this around and make my adjustment. When I'm done with my adjustment and I'm final, I close that and I lock it in place. Okay? I would do the same with the other side. Then I come here, I do the same thing. I put this in. I have it locked already, so I'm good to go here. Like I said, I've already put this on the night before, so I've made my adjustments. Okay, so the last adjustment I'm going to make is the torso. So all I do is kind of bring this a little tighter. And I'm going to tell you, it's been a while since I've played with the arc flash. Being new, it's a little tight. It's like a new glove. I got to break it out a little bit. But this is supposed to allow you to bring in some of the slack. There you go. As far as fitting, again, it's okay, I feel, but it's probably a little loose. I shouldn't be able to get more than 2 fingers in here comfortably. Okay, but I'm looking at it right here, and it's a little bit loose. I would like to see it a little bit tighter, to be honest with you. So I will look at this and I would actually say a medium is probably a little better for me. I mean, you probably would fit in the medium. You would probably be a medium. You're a little taller, so you might be in a large. So this one might fit better. You're definitely taller, large, kind of thing.
Well, why do we want to make sure it's snug and comfortable?
Because anytime you wear a harness, anywhere you have loose, and you don't want it to be binding, right? I don't want to be walking around like this, right? But you definitely want it to be tight, because if I have to deploy myself, if I fall where they're fall rest or where I'm being pulled out, every loose thing is going to be dragged up. So for example, if this is too loose right up here and I pull this up, if it's loose, this is going to be all coming up into my neck and head and all that. This right here, if I were to fall and it's loose, it just doesn't have a good, it doesn't absorb the fall, and it doesn't help when you're pulling somebody out. So typically OSHA, the question comes up, how often should you inspect? And the answer is, if you don't know, is every time you put it on, you should inspect every time before it's used. What's that?
Every time before it's used.
Every time before it's used, you should be putting it on. Now, every time you put it on,
No.
you don't have to. When should you document? Because that's what Angel's asking. There's a tag here that would reference documentation. When should you document?
Inspection?
So who's doing that inspection? You every time?
No, that's whenever they do the safety inspection.
So
they
there's
come around.
a certified inspector
Right.
that should come around. It should be you because you're the user. Well, it could be you, but I'm just saying typically it's not the user, okay? And that person, maybe it's Angel or somebody working with Angel, they're the person that should be going around and doing inspections. Now, typically it's every 6 months. What are you doing? Every 6 months or once a year? What are you doing?
For
Harnesses.
harnesses for the inspections?
Yeah.
We'll do it 6 months.
Yeah, so every 6 months there should be somebody coming around, to what Angel was saying,
I haven't had one yet, but
I should see on here somewhere, there's a log, I should see some type of initials and a date saying it was inspected. Clearly, if it was inspected and it didn't pass, then you shouldn't be wearing it. It would have been decommissioned at that point, so that would be a moot point. But yeah, under inspection situations, this tag, that's what it's used for. There are more sophisticated systems. Just one last piece of thought there. This RFID tag, it automates that process. So the example would be is the inspector would come in, he'd take a cell phone, scan it. That harness is tagged specifically to that harness. That's a serialized number. And then now I run through my checklist. I check everything off. I press a button, and then let's say Angel's sitting at his desk in the cool air conditioning, and he looks at his computer and he says, "Oh, Frank just came out and inspected, 10 harnesses today, and they all passed." Okay, it wouldn't necessarily have to show on here, although if I would recommend somebody just initial that and whatnot. But that's what that could.
So whoever's inspecting it has to update whatever the RFID is, and then write on the tag.
Yep. Again, you don't have to use the RFID. That's just technology taking over in the future, right? It's just there. Some companies do it. Some are still adapting to it. Most still do kind of like the paperwork, the old-fashioned way: paperwork, and then submit that in, and just use the paperwork. And
probably in that scenario, probably the paperwork will be better because then you'll fill up the tag, and now you still got to go to paper afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what we're gonna do is, okay, so the user checks it before they're gonna use, right? The end user. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a discussion as far as, okay, who's gonna be responsible for what. We're gonna look at, okay, who's gonna be responsible for doing the monthly, okay? And what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna use a tag, okay? And then from there, we'll kind of move on with making sure that everybody understands what the responsibility is. But we do want to use a tag. We do want to document it on the tag, because again, OSHA shows up. We're using a what is it? RFID. We could always pull it up on the phone, or the other thing too we could do is we could actually, instead of tagging it on the actual tag, we could use a form in side docs. But I think it's easier to have it just right there and then. We know it's been inspected and it's ready to go.
So there's the log. You're limited to about 10 spaces. Trauma straps. So 3M made a decision about a year ago now. It used to be optional, and so I'm not going to pull them out because I got to throw them away. But basically, if you're in a fall arrest situation, well, not fall arrest is if I'm at heights and I fall, right? Well, I should be tethered onto something. I should be able to be caught. I'm working okay. And so while I am being rescued, these trauma straps get deployed, and basically it's a strap where I would have it go underneath my feet, and then I could stand up on the straps. It relieves the pressure right here.
Why is that important?
Sorry?
Why is that important?
Well, I was going to ask, does anybody know how much time I have to rescue somebody?
4 minutes.
4 minutes? Very good answer. I would say I hear 15, 15, sometimes 25
At that
minutes.
point,
I hear.
your circulation starts cutting off, and then it almost becomes like a tourniquet.
Yeah, so basically you're stopping the blood that's coming from here down to here. And we're talking minutes.
Yeah, as soon as you release it, now you can pronable to get in the cloud.
Yeah, so when that happens, you're talking minutes. And at that point, yeah, anything you can do as the person that's in the fall arrest, and like using those trauma straps to buy you more time, that's what you're trying to do with trauma straps. So these come standard now on every 3M fall protection harness. It used to be optional. And again, it was, what does everything do? It drives up the price, right? Oh, it costs more, this and that. Well, what's the cost of not having it? And so it became so much of a discussion that we decided to just put it in as standard. These are standard items. Again, going down here in your operation, these probably won't be deployed, but if you're using them at heights in a different operation where you're tethering off and something were to go in fall arrest, this is what could come into play. They basically are just two straps that are going to fall out. You would connect it right here and then put them underneath your feet and stand up.
Like a one-time use? Is it removable?
Yeah, I mean, once you're in a fall arrest situation, let me be clear about that. If you're using these, I usually fall, right? That whole harness, you get fall 3 or 4 times on the harness. 2 people, how many harnesses should I have? 2. Anybody going down there, if something goes bad and I got to rescue them out, that's what this discussion is really about, is how to get somebody out, right? We know how to get in, how do we get them out if something goes bad, right? So think of it as, you know, a 250-pound dummy, right? If you actually carry somebody out, that's just really probably not by your own will. They want 2 people to probably get you paid. So you need some help. This is the leverage that needs to be helped out of that. Okay? Now, think about this just for a second. Something goes bad. Somebody should be calling 911. You don't know what it is, what's going on down there. Somebody should be calling 911. The next thing would be is somebody, while somebody's doing that, somebody should be getting ready to try to rescue that person. Because 911, if they show up, they're not there to rescue that person out. Don't think the fire department's going to come here, grab this stuff, open it up, and go down and get that person. That ain't going to happen. The fire department's going to look through this. They're going to go, let me get the gas detection equipment down there before I go down there. Let me do this, let me do that, let me assess. They're not going to use your equipment because they don't know how to use your equipment. So they got to get their equipment on. All those things are going to happen. And that's just wasting time. So, we're the primary rescue team at times. Okay? Okay.
Not all, at least one person at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm going to say I can do this by myself, but it would be better if we had 2 people. So I'll pick you this visual right here.
Do we set that up beforehand or
Okay,
only
good
during
question.
an emergency?
Good question. So you're doing your operation. Should you set this up before? Ideally, you don't need this, right? I'm not using it to have somebody go down in there, right? I'm not letting somebody go down there with this. This is only for rescue. So where this should be is somewhere close to the operation. Right here, and
The bracelet's readily accessible.
yeah, if I'm ready to go, if I need to use it, it's right here ready to go.
Not actually set up, it's readily accessible, ready to go.
So I'm going to show you how to set this up. Again, Frank's down there. Frank's falling down. He's unconscious. He can't get out, right? So I got to go. I have to figure out a way to go in there and get him. And then, by the way, there's self-rescue. Self-rescue means I can figure out a way myself to get out. Which again, Frank's unconscious, so I can't do that. Talk about entry rescue just for about 30 seconds here. Entry rescue says that I'm going in to get Frank out, or you're going in to get Frank out. We have no idea why Frank is down. No idea. Okay? And we do not have the equipment to go in and do entry rescue. That is not what we're here to do. So don't be the hero. There's a lot of stories about one person goes down there. There's somebody else that says, I'm going to go save my best friend. And now you got 2 people down there. Okay? You've made a bad situation worse. Okay? Don't be that guy if you don't have the right equipment. There is equipment for that, but again, this is an operation that doesn't require it. This will work just fine if you use it properly. Okay? So we're going to do the non-entry rescue. That's what this is. Okay? Inspect, inspect, inspect. Okay? The good news is this is a pretty solid piece of equipment. There's only a very few components on it, and they're pretty solid hardware, right? But I know you guys sometimes they just get thrown around and moved around. So, you know, I'm not saying that they're fragile, but just, you know, take care of them like you should take care of everything else. So I'm going to inspect. I should have inspected. This is just a strap. Not a big inspection issue, but you hold that, and then I'm going to do this end, and you do that end right here. There you go. Sorry. Okay. Drop that, and then drop it. Okay. So inspection. Well, before I go back into setup here. So there are four legs. These are self-leveling feet. So I'm not worried about like is it a little awkward or not. They will kind of self-adjust. Okay. All I need to do is just like what was your name?
Daniel.
Daniel?
Yeah.
Thanks, Daniel. So all I did was he helped me set this down. I want to bring this right up here. Okay. So I'm going to grab this guy, another strap. Here's the handle. And then I can put it on just like this because it's a swivel. Drop it in. So that's ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to talk about just inspection for a moment. Again, you want to do this way beforehand as you're setting things up. You should be checking the rope. So technically, I should be at least looking at the rope. Somebody should have some kind of inspection. This is probably going to go on YouTube, right? So somebody should have some kind of inspection label on here that says this is, as of this date, you know, the rope's been inspected, there's no fraying or anything like that. But what I would be doing, again, not necessarily on each job site, but I would have some inspection as to how does this look? Is it frayed? Is there anything frayed? Is there anything coming apart? Is this functioning? Okay. Again, you should be using it, right? So the idea here is it's not being deployed. You know, I should be looking at the mechanics of this. Is this mechanically working right? Can I lower and raise it? Okay. There's a maintenance schedule on this part. Typically, a couple times a year, a few drops of oil to the bearings, and there's spots that you can identify in the manual where the oil would go for the bearings. And the rest of it is just, you know, the hardware, right? Is this pin here? Right? So without this pin, it's not going to do me much good. And of course, are the feet in proper location? Meaning, are they working properly? Are they sticking? Is one missing? That kind of thing. Okay. So that's the kind of inspection I want to be doing. In operating this, I want to operate this in my setup. I do not want to operate it outside the legs. So if I were to stick this back here and have me go in and the legs were outside here, I'm bringing this outside here. That's not what this is designed for, okay? It has to be, this has to operate within the confines of the diameter, okay?
Is there a quick release for that?
There is no quick release. So in order for me to lower this, I have to actually do this, unfortunately. Yeah, it's something. I can't pull it. I have to unwind it like that. Okay? So somebody's got to be here doing this to kind of get that step going. Okay? So yeah, I don't want to pull this too far back. This looks about right where I want it to be. Give or take. I can easily move this around a little bit if I wanted to maybe move it in a different spot. Okay. Any questions on that subject? Anything, does it seem too complicated to set up, or does it look okay so far? We got two components. We got the base. It only goes down one way. We got the davit arm with the kingpin to lock it in, and then now I'm lowering it. Okay?
Looks like it's set up to be on grass or dirt too, with those spikes. You can stick it in that way in the feet.
You can anchor it that way too as well. Yeah, but again, it's designed to, it doesn't all have to be perfectly level, right? And you don't want to go outside of the legs because it could have a tendency to tip based on weight. So you want to keep it in this kind of setup. So what I'm looking for is somehow I have to get this thing open to get it out there. So I'm going to do this and close this. Put it on like this. Yeah, it hangs on there pretty good, but it closes. Not going to work. Do the same thing, but I'm going to flip it. Okay. So what you're going to see is there's these little, like, right here, there's a little, like, leaf or some kind of thing right here, and it's just going to slide right into the slots. Okay. It just holds it open. Okay. Remember, if I'm in a hurry and I do it backwards and I'm playing around doing this and I get it on there, I'm like, oh, I got it in there. Oh, but it's closed. Nope, wrong way. Open it up, push it around. That's what you want. Yeah. So now I have the locking mechanism. I have to hold it like this. Put the spring on. So where do you think this goes?
On you or up on the device in case you drop it.
All right, that's the last piece. I have to keep some tension on this, because if I don't, it could slip off, and then I got to pull it all up and start over again. But the worst scenario for me is somehow I'm in a hurry and I drop everything. This thing falls down in there. I let go of this and this falls down in there. As long as I set this thing up, I got an anchor right here. I can pull that pole back up. As long as I got this connected to this hook right here, I can pull it back up and start all over again. Right? I mean, let's get real. We don't practice this every day. So in an emergency situation, you know, cool heads prevail. Take your time. I know time is life at that point, but just keep in mind, you know, if something goes wrong, pull back, start all over. As you have it set up right, kind of go back in there. Now at this point, I want to get it to the right length, take it down there, hook it onto that person, and then when I pull back, pull. Now I can just put
Section on it.
Question came up. What if he's like this?
Yeah, that was my question too.
Yeah, I thought it's the same thing too. So, if I'm that person, I'm probably going to be doing something like this. As hard as I could imagine. I'm going to have to figure out a way to get him over. And I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. But I got to get that person in an 80s. That's the hard part.
At
So you
that
have to
point, you're
flip
just
him
better off
over?
hoisting them up like that anyway.
You better what?
You can't hoist them up?
You got all the tension on the back. So, I mean, unless the snaps won't hold, you're just better off getting them up at that point. So he'll be hanging on his back anyway. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't the angle of the pole make it harder for the stick to reach all the way?
Depending on where he's at or how he is. Yeah.
Yeah. All I'm trying to do is figure out a way. And again, I'm not an expert. I mean, apologize for that. I mean, you know, he's not. You know, am I lucky to get that situation to do something like that because he's on his back? That would be nice. Is that going to happen? I don't know.
You know, also, question was brought up. At that point, depending on where he has a situation, he brought it up earlier, you're not just going to jump in there. You have to provide for your own safety. Okay, get 911 going, make sure the hole is good. You know what I mean? Usually we have no test in those situations, you know, for that reason, so that way the circuit won't test again. Or if we work behind a breaker, the breaker should open if there's an accident that happens. But don't just think, oh, I'm going to go in there and flip them over, I'm going to go in there and attach them. You know.
Your point about doing the rescue, it's not just jump in and go. Part of what you're doing in your rescuing is assessing and understanding. How am I going to get this to work? Is it an easy position? Is there a way where I can maybe without the hook, you know, bring this over and somehow get him over to that side to get him on the back side? You know, you got to think about those things, but you're given some tools to give the guy a fighting check, right? Because the worst scenario you described earlier is you got nothing. 911 and then, or I'm going to go in there and then I'm going to risk my own life, which you should not do. Nobody should. So I already had the handle on. You saw me put it on, but just so you'll know, this handle will not allow me to put it on until I get it in this position, like a locking position right now. Right now I can't put it on. As hard as I can. I gotta get it. Once I'm on this, I gotta land it right on that spot right there. So here's all I'm gonna do is I get my key, I line it up, my bad. I put it on there, and then I'm kind of just wiggling it to find that spot. Now that I'm on there, I can go like that. Okay. So any questions on the handle? Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay. The next one is somebody asked, you know, is this freewheeling? So there's two modes, and it's right here on this little spring. here, and here. There's 2 modes, here, and here. That's all I have. And again, I know you're not going to remember which mode is which, but let me try to distinguish it this way. So if I can go like out, and I can go in, that's the mode I'm going to be using to, get this thing down. Okay? The moment I'm going to start raising somebody, I drop it down. See the difference? That difference is it's locking every time I roll it in. So now I can't go down. I only go one way. It doesn't allow me to go this way. Only goes one way. So when I'm resting in, that has to be here.
Let's have him. I want you to come over here. You're gonna try it out.
Okay.
Enter. Put this on because.
Leave it back on the floor.
Yeah, put that on the floor. There you go.
I thought the same thing.
Okay, this is a double lock. Okay. Go ahead, try it again.
Yeah.
This is my key.
Now grab the rope. There you go. So that way this is in place.
Now you walk back. Start feeding it in. Start feeding it in.
So if I had another user, I'm going to hold this behind you so I can help you keep the top.
Start feeding it in. That's not going
Leave the rope. Now it's good.
Is Ray coming out alive?
You can let go of the rope. You can let go of the rope.
Yeah, get your pull out quick. Now go ahead, swing that back over, center it, and yank them out. Like I said, as we move forward, we're going to do timed rescue drills.
At this point, when you're bringing them up, you also want to look, keep an eye out, because like you said, in a perfect world scenario, there's going to be cable and all kinds of stuff out there. It's not going to be like this, empty. So you got to look. If you're pulling them, all of a sudden you get stuck on a cable or dragging something out, now you run into another situation. So you look, keep pulling, keep going.
You don't want to break
Again,
break his neck if he gets hung up on something.
Yeah, keep going, look, keep going.
Hey, you good?
Got that guy, man.
How does that feel?
I got you, Eddie. I got you.
At that, you can swing them over. At that point, you can swing them over. Swing them over.
Put it back in the air.
Because he's going to weigh a lot more.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what.
Show where your heart is.
Come on, buddy. Man, you're all muddy.
There you do.